All right, word up, man. So let's try to go through this as if it's an Anchor episode. So I'll try to not mess up, fumble up my words. All right. Hello, Anchor Nation. This is Randy Tolson, the special guest host of Anchor Nation. Right. Today's guest will be KT, the man, Kevin Touch himself on Anchor Nation. Without further, I will let KT introduce himself. Here he is.
All right, guys. What's up, everybody? This is my special co-host. I'd like to say thank you to Randy for coming on the show. Appreciate that. My name is Kevin Touch. I'm 19 years old now, and I am the host of the Anchor Nation, the man behind the voice, and I'm excited to get it. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. All right. So, Kevin, I'm going to ask you a few different questions here. I'm going to start off with, how has your life changed in the year 2017? It's been a big year for you, man.
Yeah, for sure. Started off when I graduated high school back in June. I was just basically out there just wandering the streets, kind of like everybody else, like what's the next move? And I actually made a podcast on the Opinion app, which it was actually called Opinion. It was a free podcasting, and it allowed me to do episodes. And I did my first ever episode, and I was like, this is fun. I had a great conversation with my buddy Zach, and we were talking about to college and whatnot. And then June 29th, I joined Anchor. That's when things started to change. I mean, I just saw the value of one person, saw the value of how important it can be. Anchor has really changed my life, changed me for the better to know that I can engage in people, and they're walking a different life, which is amazing. And just overall, as far as my health, family, everything's well. And it's just been a very successful year. Just finished out my first semester at college. Still did well. Still was, juggling all this stuff. And the challenge wasn't much of a challenge. It was the same process. I kept going. I've bagged a lot of interviews. I've improved, and things have gotten better.
Right on, man. Right on. I'm going to do a quick adjustment on my phone here. Make sure that... All right.
There we go.
Good. Okay. Got a little bit choppy on my end, but I'm sure your end picked up all that audio just fine. Well, that's cool. I want to know a little bit more about this Opinion app. So where did you find that?
That's a good question. So actually,
how did that kind of lead into Anchor?
That's a good point. So actually, the Opinion app, I just found it offline. I was thinking about doing a podcast. I actually, prior to the Opinion and Anchor, I had a personal contact Q&A. People would ask me questions at the end of the year just for fun. And they're like, hey, you ever consider starting a podcast? Not that I had a good voice. They thought maybe some of my thoughts could translate. They're like, yeah, sure, maybe. I'm like, okay. So one day after the day I graduated high school, the day after, I went on the online, a free podcast. It was free, which is rare. In most podcast services, you got to pay money. And Opinion was free. And I'm like, oh, this is a perfect way to start. And unfortunately, now it is shut down because I'm sure it got caught up with the amount of services. But it was a really good start, and just really Anchor app, which I'm blessed to have on it. It's been a while, so it started with Opinion, and I moved on.
Right on, man. Yeah, Anchor is definitely an incredible app. Anybody that's watching right now that hasn't tried Anchor yet, you should definitely log into it, check it out. So what did it feel like when you graduated high school? What was it like when that you were finally done with the first 3 tiers of school life?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I started off back in, it was a couple of days ago, and then I moved my way. I had this mentality of just, get through it. And I was proud of my efforts through my entire schooling career, K through 12. And just that day I graduated, I was humble. I was humbled the fact that I my first part. I wanted to move on to now college, and I wanted to. I didn't expect it, and this is before even Anchor was in my life and podcasting. I was just happy the fact that I could kind of plan my life now, where I want to go, things, and then this came along as just not really a bonus, but just now as a blessing. It really give a picture where I was starting in January 1st year. I was like, what's going on? Like, where am I going to be going? And now here later. With Anchor Nation, here I am later with high school over and in college, and have made it through college first semester. Just happy to be a part of this journey as we continue on.
Yeah, and you've been incredibly busy on Anchor as well. To handle college and what you're doing on Anchor simultaneously, man, that is impressive. I gotta say, I mean, you're doing interviews. Some weeks you're doing multiple interviews. You're balancing two different radio stations with probably some of the most frequent connection ratio of the community, which is incredible, man, that you're able to communicate and utilize the app in the way that you and still balance school. That's impressive.
That's
Um,
true.
have you found that to be a struggle yet, or are you kind of worked out a system that works for you and you can do it comfortably?
No, believe it or not, it's comfortably. A lot of the days, like where school, I would go on this called laser mode, where I would not go on Anchor. But then I felt like the energy of like when I had free time, I would go on the app. The energy there for me to make an impact up, and it was just really failing. Anchor Nation bagged a lot of. That's why I'm caught up to a certain amount of interviews, and that's why I made the changes, which we'll get into a little bit later. And it just really was free flowing, and I still kept my grades. I still kept up my work, and still did my thing. So it hasn't been a struggle on wood. So that's it for right now.
That's awesome, man. That's good to hear. As long as you got a system down and it doesn't affect your school, then more power to you, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so what exactly is the story behind how you found you found it on the App Store? It was just, was it the app of the day at that point yet? I know they've hit the app of the day a couple times since me and you have joined, but it was the app of the day yet, or was it just in a podcast ad?
Yeah, it was just like a podcast. It was in like one of the news category. But I saw it. I had to update my channel app, and then I saw it as like an ad, bottom like with the bottom of the App Store, kind of realized. And I hit that. And said, I looked at the podcasting because it's 2.0. I'm like, this is really new. So I hit the app, I hit the download button, and the first couple minutes on the app, I was thinking, this is boring. Like I got no engagement, no interaction, nothing. Not good for me. But then I reached out to the person. His name was David Phillips, and he basically said, hey, man, I'm going to – he was in the same state. Hey, man, I'm sorry about it. I'm just not feeling this app too. I'm like, hey, both in the same boat. Let's see if we can work together. And when he did that, he published my call-in, and the Anchor team emailed me after I had deleted the app. And I was like, what, power of one? And I just knew the person had to listen to me, and I knew I was hooked right there because at that I could build off that person, and he had connections, and just work. I can build the following smoothly. Oh, no ripples.
So I got a question for you then. You mentioned a couple things about Anchor, like the 2.0 and all that. And I know you joined a little bit before me, maybe about a month before I did.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest addition you've seen since you've been on Anchor that they've added or that they've done that's kind of changed the game up?
It's got to be either record with friends in the comments section. I think before I joined Anchor, before I left after vacation, before vacation, there was a comment, no record with friends, no make a request. But after I got back, the comments came in. Then in October, for those of you who are new listeners in the live stream, you can now have a button where you can record with anybody on your Anchor list. You just got to favorite their station. You can record with them, and basically allowed so much more collaboration, new ideas, even some comedies going on. There's just a lot of new ideas. I feel like that's a game changer. That's only a way to progress into the future and see where we go for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving what they're doing with it. They're only making it better. And it seems like every update that they're putting out there is kind of opening up a whole nother door of possibilities, what we can do as, right?
All right.
I'm excited. I really just don't know what 0.0 is going to bring, and I'm going to see what it does. I'm eagerly awaiting that. So were you intimidated knowing you had no background in audio platform and never really any experience in audio?
Yeah, I'm going to say like the first day, I'm sure probably because I had no engagement, I was a little bit intimidated. The fact listening to me, like assume and kind of guess. But then once I realized that it's okay, I kind of got comfortable. I found my shoes of shouting out people feature on here where you can find your voice and just snippets, stuff, 5-minute straight podcasting segments. I developed and gradually developed, and the more I got comfortable in the platform voice, and you don't have to dress up or anything, you don't have to make like a video, it got me more comfortable where I'm like, okay, it's not that bad. And as soon as I got the 2 weeks left for vacation, like knowing when I got back, I'll be fine, everything will be okay, and just took it in stride. And I think really I don't even I don't even think I remember not having audio. Now that I've gotten a half months, I feel like now I'm more energized every day.
Yeah, man. Like once you get to doing it and you just like jump in, it's like a pool. Once you jump in,
Yeah,
it's not too bad. But the longer you stay out and just look at the water, the more intimidating it gets.
exactly. That's a great.
Let's see. What was one moment that impacted you in this past year?
Yeah, I think other than this Anchor app, vacation. Vacation really allowed me to recharge and regroup. I think definitely family over in
Yeah.
Thailand. Just definitely give the energy to just really don't worry about anything. I disconnected from everything. It was just me, another country, family, food. That's it. Nothing else. And just really, it gave me ideas. Like obviously, some of them didn't turn out to be. Then when we had our interview, Incarnation, that was really the starting point, and that was the groundbreaking moment where I said, as soon as Randy said the Incarnation, I go for it. And I think that gave me the stepping stone to more the attributes of now I can have interviews, update, I can do everything. Not only I can on Anchor, but I can Instagram, I can do stuff on Canva now, and I think for people like you and the rest of my support system has given me this opportunity to go out there and be more open with the world.
You know, part of the reason I suggested that to you, there's several different tiers, but one, obviously, you have an aesthetic pleasing voice, and you've been told that many, many times. Your voice is easy to listen to, but I also recommended it to you because I believe your heart's in the right place. I believe that you're somebody that has good intentions for the world. Whatever it is that you do, you have the best intentions. You're the type of person that we need to have doing interviews and trying to come to the forefront and not be shy in the background. You know what I mean? So I'm super excited that you rose to that challenge and you ran with it. And like I threw you a curveball during that interview.
I know.
None of it was planned, and I was just like, "What do you think about this?" Because this is what's been going on in the background in my head throughout the whole entire interview. What do you think about this? And you're like, "I'll try it. I'll give it a shot." And here you are, almost 6 months later, and you're hitting them out of the park left and right. I mean, you've already booked yourself a chunk of 2018 worth of interviews. You're a busy man at this point with it, and I'm glad, man. I'm super proud of you to rise to that challenge, and I knew you could do it. And I'm glad that it didn't interfere with your school, and you were able to find a balance between them. Super proud of you in regards to that.
Appreciate that.
How did the first ever interview that you did made you more comfortable in your interviews? So what about that interview that we had really let you, I guess, not worry too much with your next go? Have more confidence in your interviews?
Yeah, for sure. No, I actually, before we even had our interview, I had a buddy named Aaron B.
Okay.
And he actually let me be on like the old interview feature, which you get your phone number, and that got me more able to answer questions like this. But then when we did yours, I feel like I had a good basis. We had you off a 30 tangent on your. I listened to all of those tangents. And I felt like, all right, that's perfect. I can make questions. And then when we did the questions, they weren't 5 minutes. They were 20, 30-minute answers. It gave me more time. And I'm like, 2.5 hours of content. We have to break this up. And I felt like the more I got comfortable in the interview, the more the voice was pleasing, the more the interesting topic we talked about, the more I could provide feedback. And the most important thing is be a listener. The more I listened into the answers, the more I gathered feedback. It gave me the opportunity to really get more comfortable, have no worries at the other end. So really, I think the credit to you is just the fact that I was continuing to hear your just impact trying to do too with Quit Rich. It gave me the opportunity to know I can formulate an answer, kind of repeat, kind of follow up, and then he'll go on a tangent. I go on a tangent, and just made smooth sailing. And I think that was just the beginning of something.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was a long conversation too. Like, I didn't even realize how long we made that conversation until you were sending me the file, and I was like, over 2 hours. Like, what? Where's the time? I could tell though that when you reached out to me to do an interview, I could tell that you had done interviews before, that you had done it at least once before, because you were super comfortable. You kind of had an idea of how you wanted to go about it. You had some sort of structure put in place with it. And